Alright. Fucking joking over here. I haven't worked on this in a while. Because I don't have a job and have other priorities. It was just something I did just to, mess around. So I did update it. The program, basically all it's doing is it's looking at its inputs, and then depending on what it receives, it puts out an output based on that, and then they just basically relay signals back and forth. So technically you could put a sensor on every single, you could put 6 sensors on each board, per board, and then you can put, and then the goal is to have, attach motors anywhere you want randomly, and then have it decipher that and do something based on that, and basically once you program them, then you wouldn't have to ever program them again. It would just be a generic program, because let's face it, when you program a robot, it's pretty predictable, pretty boring. So I actually made one down here, and it's very basic right now, and I'll show you that in a minute, but first we get to this. So you can start it from 1, which I've said in one of my other videos, but so the signals just bounce over. It will basically just run forever now, because I quickened the whole thing up. Some outputs are used more than others. You can actually see this one here isn't doing shit. It's also based on what it's receiving though, but those, watch that same output, which is here, it doesn't trigger nearly as much, and it's also here, I think. Yeah, right here. I'm just using the programmer for power right now. So if I was to take, I made another program that can convert these pulses to servo, and what it does is it when it receives one pulse, it moves a servo in one direction, and when it stops, I think it stays in that direction. I haven't looked at it for a while. It receives another pulse, goes the other direction, and there's one extra pin that's a reverse pin, so it can, so like for example, I could convert this board here to the servo thing and attach a servo or 2 off of this board, and let's say I could do this one too. The rest would all be the same, and so depending on all the signals it's receiving, it would do something based on that. And you could put sensors on these boards, every board, and have them do something accordingly. Obviously, if I actually hook some stuff up, I might change the generic program to something else, but for now, we're just lighting LEDs as an experiment. Which brings me to this. So what I've done here is just set up a basic thing here. It seems kind of like a stupid way of doing it, I guess you could say. You have this, but keep in mind you can put you can set this up any way you want. You could put 8 boards on this side and whatever. This is pretty much bare minimum for this physical setup here, because this board right here controls these 2 servos. It just deciphers what's going on up here. So these 2 boards themselves don't actually have any brains in them. They're just deciphering what this one is doing. So in this right here, you only got 3 real boards that are the brains of the bot. The rest are just controlling the motors. So this one sets the pace, and it just pulses 2 outputs. It's very simple. And then these here take that pulse. When these receive a pulse, they convert that to 2 pulses for the front and the back legs. Like I said, you can set this any way you want. This just to further explain what the fuck I was trying to do when I came up with this. But the new versions are going to have a bigger pick here, and they're going to have an LED that indicates input and another LED that indicates output, so you can see whatever's going in and out, at any given time. And then I want to put some analog sensors on them, and then those sensors will modify the outgoing pulses accordingly. So basically they're like a simplified neuron, each one. And the point of this is that the signal goes through multiple steps. I know you can put one pick on here and control the whole damn thing, but you know exactly what's going to happen. With this setup you don't, because it can miss this, and with the sensors on it can change it, but the battery's about to die, so I'm going to turn this on and show you exactly what it does right now. So each leg can be reversed individually as well. And the tether is just for power now. So in the future there will be so many different combinations once you get sensors hooked up, and you can do different levels of the brain, I guess you could say. You just stack layers of these boards everywhere. So what it would come out to be is a pretty powerful system, I would imagine. Once you get all kinds of input, and then each little part adding its own little thing to all the inputs to get the final result to the legs. And this, I try to do it as simple as I possibly could, but with the complex robot like this, in order to get it to walk, it required me to do 3 different programs, not including the servo, so there's 4 total. And if you watch the 2 middle LEDs, all they do is blink. It's just a pretty much like a 5-line program, and then you can see the other 2 right here do like a little pattern, and then these right here are deciphering that pattern. And the difference between this program and this program is just flip-flopped. The inputs and stuff are just changed, but this program is exactly the same. So now I could add a sensor to reverse this leg, and this leg would go backwards. I could reverse these 2 or these 2 or these 2 or these 2 or whatever. Not to mention what else I could do with all the other boards. I don't know, I feel like I explain this stuff and people just don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And I don't post videos because it doesn't seem all that interesting. It's a different approach to robots, and I grew tired of the standard robot years and years ago. So it's my attempt to kind of add some unpredictability and some randomness in it. Make it a little more natural, I suppose, you know, as far as it acts anyway. Not. So that's basically coming from the 2 pulses in the center. They go out, and then they go here, and then they go here. Now I could make these 2 programs here exactly the same, and then have this pulse alternate, which would probably be. But then this side would move, and then this side would move, this side would move. I wanted them to kind of move at the same time. Basically, you got these 2 moving at the same time, these 2 moving at the same time. So what I want to do later on is just throw some random shit on this thing. Add the 2 servos, just convert whatever 2 boards have servos on them, and then add some random sensors. I think it will be much more interesting when you get analog sensors in it, maybe some accelerometers and some light sensors, and then have them all modify their, you know, whatever they're getting or whatever they're doing, and then sending it on. So, you know, if this is sending stuff here and it's influencing this, and this is influencing this, and all their sensors are influencing something else, then the end result is going to be, you know, much more interesting. I don't know, I really don't know where other than that, where I'm going with this. So anyway, it looks neat though. Sometimes it's cool when I turn it on, it's like these 2 fart around, and then it takes forever for the signal to get up here. But it's kind of rare. You can see how it's just like starts pulsing, and it's gradually